the Mahoning Valley Daily Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Mahoning Valley Daily Podcast. And since all experience is subjective, I believe I'm allowed to say that with impunity. Today is Monday, November 22nd, and I am your host, Ron Cabuno. Thank you very much for tuning in. It was an eventful weekend, as always. Of course, we have to start out with the absolute tragedy that we saw in Kenosha, where some individual, crazed or not sure yet, drove through a giant parade in downtown there, killing and injuring many people. Hope we get to the bottom of that. And of course, what I hope is that this guy isn't affiliated with anyone. I don't want him to be doing any type of retaliation for the Rittenhouse verdict, and I don't want it to be anyone from the other side either. It's so bad that you have to worry about the motives of this just because it's going to spark so much more outrage from either side. But that is a totally unfolding story, so we will wait to see what happens. In some good news, my goodness, those Ohio State Buckeyes completely clobbered Michigan State Spartans. Fantastic. And I see that the Cincinnati Bearcats are going to be in the playoffs, so for anybody who is rocking with the Natty, that is great news for you guys. And great news in general for folks from Ohio who just want their team to get respect. And then, of course, you have the Browns, who earn no respect whatsoever by just barely beating the hapless Detroit Lions. I'm not going to go into it too much, but unless Nick Chubb is going to carry this team throughout the entire season on his back, it's not looking so hot. I know I like to talk a lot about sports on here, especially football and golf. Those are definitely my two favorites. Well, no, I guess ping pong. Ping pong's up there, but you don't get to see too much of that on TV outside of the Olympics. But I digress. This is a little tangential to that because it involves the Chinese and racket sports. But it's a really, really concerning story. And I hope you guys have heard of this already. So, a couple of weeks ago, one of the best tennis doubles players in the world over the past decade or so, Chinese star Peng Shuai, made a report that a senior Chinese official sexually assaulted her and raped her. This was a couple years ago, and she is just now coming forward. But the next thing you know, she disappears. And this is just the nexus of the authoritarian universe coming to bear on this one individual, because next thing you know, she shows up a couple weeks later after all this public outcry from the actual tennis community. And that, I guess, is one of the best parts about this story, is that for once, there is an American entity or an international body who has said, that's fine, we're going to stand up for civil rights and for truth and justice in the face of whatever the heck is going on against the Chinese government. Because the Chinese market is so lucrative, the NBA, John Cena, many others have come back hat in hand after saying anything disparaging or possibly offensive, whether it be regarding Taiwan or Hong Kong or the Uyghurs or you name it, or all the different bad stuff that's going on in China. Well, guess what? Nobody's allowed to say anything if you want to earn 1 red cent over there. Well, these tennis players, they were pretty outraged, and everyone took to social media, of course, and the internet, and wanted to know, where is this woman? And then what happens? A mysterious letter appears, supposedly from her, saying that she's fine, she wants her privacy, and that the allegations that she alleged were completely false and made up, and she's real sorry. Like, get out of here. What is that? I can see that being written at gunpoint. But anyways, to make things even crazier, she starts showing up in public, in China only, also not mentioning the incident at all, and saying that everything is fine, hunky-dory, and nothing to see here. Problem is, though, none of those quotes have been done off camera of Chinese state TV. So a lot of people are still wondering, how free is this woman after making these allegations? Is she a prisoner in her own country? It's absolutely insane, and it's very plausible that's exactly what's going on. So, just wanted to make you aware of that story. Extremely interesting. Check it out, and we hope for the best for her. And of course, we have the closing arguments in the case and trial of the killers, alleged killers, of Ahmaud Arbery. Well, I guess that's not true. They said they killed him. They just don't think they murdered him. And the way that they're able to say that is the same thing that Kyle Rittenhouse was able to say, just on better terms, that it was self-defense. The facts of the matter are really simple, and a lot of them have already been spelled out. Ahmaud Arbery was not armed. They knew he wasn't armed. They went after him armed. And this goes back to the problem of vigilantism and citizens' arrests, and it goes all the way back to the escaped slave codes of the Old South. I mean, look this stuff up for yourself and look up the history of gun rights throughout the history of this country. So, they were first initially afforded to white Americans to protect themselves from Native American attacks. And then they were actually allowed to use those guns in order to displace those Native Americans a little later on. All the same time, and a little later on, continuing into the future, these guns were then allowed to be owned by white people in order to keep blacks captive in the South. This type of citizen's arrest and deputization of your average person comes directly out of those precedents. It's just that nowadays, we have the video evidence to show that it wasn't exactly a textbook gumshoe takedown. It was far more sinister, and we have the video footage to prove it. So I'm not going to beat around the bush. I hope these guys get put away. And I'm just going to leave you with a positive note for today. When you go out, make the eye contact, say hello, say good day, give that one extra effort today and tomorrow and the next day, and see if we can keep multiplying it. See if we can do 2 tomorrow. Let's start spreading the peace. Let's start showing each other respect. Even people we don't know, and especially people who aren't expecting it. Go out there and make somebody's day. Thank you very much, and we will talk to you again soon.